Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Creative Cosplay Corner. I am Cable Rose, your host and uber fan of all things cosplay. Tonight, I've got a little different backdrop up here. I like the cosplay community because I like to connect the dots. So I found this photo, and it kind of was a purposeful for the lead into what we're going to talk about tonight. This episode and our guest today is a less than 24-hour connection. Yesterday, I came across something on the interwebs. I saw a slight video from a cosplay enthusiast and a cosplayer in the community, and she wanted to share some thoughts about cosplay, and I was taken aback. So today, I was very fortunate enough to track down Katherine O'Day. Katherine's coming out of, we're going coast to coast, so each one of us is on a different coast, and I've got Katherine O'Day coming on the show, and she's going to kind of just give us a background, give us a little story about herself, and then we'll kind of see where this conversation goes. But to everybody, Katherine, come on the show and just kind of say hello.
Hey guys, my name is Katherine O'Day. I'm a vocalist and an actor here in Los Angeles, California. I really got started into cosplay like most people do. If your parents had a cosplay bin or like a costume bin at home, you're a cosplayer now. Like, I don't make the rules anymore. It's so true. And you know, like growing up, we used to just dress up for everything. It was like a very, very big part of my childhood to dress up. I didn't realize that cosplay was kind of that until I got older. And so I actually started doing princesses through a princess company, and you'll see a picture of one of my cosplays through there, and we'll talk about them a little bit. But I really, really love just loving on other kids, loving on other people, and using those characters to show people that they can be powerful, that they can have influence, and they're a lot braver and smarter than they think. So I've used cosplay in that way mostly.
Well, Katherine, I appreciate the origin story. I was calling the origin stories, your background. Let's talk about the two ends of this spectrum, because maybe a princess, and I won't say Disney princess, but maybe a princess, who might have you cosplayed as a princess?
So the cosplays that I've done as a princess through princess party companies, I was best friends with specifically Ariel, Cinderella. Who else have I done? Ariel, Cinderella, Elsa, Anna. I think I was Elsa or Anna at least 700 times.
Wow.
They're my favorites forever because of it. But I absolutely love them. I've done a few different like fur characters as well, including Baby Shark. That one always catches people off guard. And Olaf. So those are some fun ones I've done, but then I've also done Captain Marvel with them. So an absolute kind of contrast there.
So you've got a spectrum, right? And I really think that is. You've got Anna and Elsa, and there's a huge impact, I think, in not only today's generation of women, young girls, and just anybody in the arts or in the creative realm, where those two were the first ones that didn't need someone to come save them. They actually just handled their own and did it. Whereas some of a different generation time frame, the other characters might have had a partner or somebody that they worked with. And then now you've also got from the princess side of the house, and you swing the pendulum, and now you've got Miss Marvel, who she's coming down literally and kicking Thanos' ass and just blasting away on everybody. I mean, the headbutt is a Marvel cinematic moment that you'll just never forget, right?
Exactly.
So that's quite a spectrum, and I like what you said about that. You were trying to show that women, characters and women were both powerful and able to do everything and anything. So where should we take this conversation? Because I don't want to ruin what was out there and is out there on the internet from yesterday. But can you give us maybe a background as to what was happening and maybe why you were sharing your thoughts yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was someone who made a TikTok. I believe her name was like Mom Made Magic or something like that. And she was explaining how when girls dress up as superheroes, it's cool, it's badass, it's incredible. And it doesn't matter whether or not they're the same gender or, you know, either or, like it's just always rad, right? And I agree with her. It's always really cool to see that. But then when boys dress up as princesses or they look up to princesses, they're seen as effeminate, they're seen as, which is never a bad thing, but they're seen as effeminate, they're seen as not as manly, and there's like that toxic masculinity surrounded around, well, you can't like princesses, you're not a girl. And the moment that I saw that, it reminded me a lot of experiences that I had either seen or seen through others' experiences, especially men who really, really appreciate superheroes that are women. And I instantly was like, okay, I have to talk about how this is a part of it too, because we see superheroes as those are manly. Like, I didn't really get into superheroes until a few years ago. Like I didn't see how I could find a role model. I didn't see how I could find an influence, and not until I read Spider-Gwen and Gwen Stacy stuff did I see, oh my gosh, this is the representation of me in entertainment. And I remember going through the comic books and crying, because it was like, oh my gosh, like I've said that verbatim. I've said that verbatim. I relate to this story. And that's when I was like, I'm going to campaign to play the live action version of Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen. So I've actually been campaigning for about a year. I've gotten really far in my campaign. It's been incredible. I've been emailing all the people at Marvel. I've been writing letters. I've been adding the fandom into it. And through that whole process, I met a lot of men who were really, really fascinated by the story of Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen. And I was hearing these stories of people saying I was being bullied for the fact that I like Spider-Gwen. I've been told that I'm a pervert or a pedophile because I like Spider-Gwen. And I saw that a lot when I started to look at it deeper, that men were being almost punished and bullied for the fact that they absolutely love these characters and relate to them. And I personally feel like by doing that, we take power away from someone,
Okay.
by saying, like, you can't like this character because it's a girl. You can't like this character because it's a boy. You're already taking power away from someone where they could really find solace and healing in someone's story. It could be something that changes their life forever. It could give them their own purpose. I mean, I believe everyone has a purpose. And once we find these new characters that we love and we cherish, I think a lot of people find, wow, like, there's something I really enjoy, and I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to keep that going for myself. So I think on that, I think it's so important for us to empower our men and women that like female superheroes, that there's nothing wrong with liking female superheroes. And if anything, it makes you super badass. I mean, literally Captain Marvel, her whole, like, I don't have to say anything else. Captain Marvel,
I know.
Like, so I think for me, the reason why I get so fired up about that is because I've seen people that I really love and care about get bullied and harassed for the fact that they like a female character, which I think is absolutely insane.
So, Katherine, one, and again, I know this was on the interweb last night, and so I appreciate, one, you kind of reiterating and kind of going back into that for the audience. Two, I love the fact that you've got this campaign, and it's not a campaign for you to be in a movie. It's a campaign that you've now connected with the fans, and you've connected with the men and women that are either struggling or going through possible things in their worlds, that something as simple as a cartoon or a comic character, who doesn't matter if it's a male or female, that you relate to. Some people have a lot of challenges in their stories. Some people have a lot of success in their stories. And I don't want to just fall into one character just for the successes, because sometimes there's a lot of challenges that go, and we see both of those. So regardless if it's a male or a female, regardless if it's just one of the characters that are out there, I agree. I think it's a pretty powerful statement to just say, hey, why can't we just show up? And I'm new to this. So I'm new to the cosplay community. I've known about it for years. I had a previous life, a previous career, and until that kind of came to a headway, I hadn't really dove right in. And now that I'm in, I'm hearing it straight from the cosplayers, straight from the fans. I'm hearing it from the feedback we get from some of our videos that say, that's exactly what I would have done, or I wish I could have said that previous, or I wish somebody had told me that years ago. And I think that says a lot about not only cosplay, because cosplay is about creativity. It's about being open-minded. It's not about your pockets and your dollars and how much you spend on it. It's just about, do you find the character connected with, and are you doing that because you want to be a part of that? One of our last guests, Hanari, she said it really well. She said that you find a character that you love so much, you want to bring it to life.
Yeah.
Regardless,
exactly.
Male or female, you want to bring it to life and you want to be a part of that. There is, not copyright. What am I trying to say? Copycats is like one of the largest forms of flattery. What's the term I'm looking for?
Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
That is it. Imitation, right? Imitation. So imagine if I'm at home and I want to build a man bear pig 3-part costume because I'm a South Park fan. And imagine if Trey Parker and Matt Stone see my man bear pig that I'm walking around a con growling at people and, you know, whatever. That to me, you're right. What a compliment to some creator that said, I made this and somebody wanted to be it and be a part of it. And I think you're right. Any age, boys or girls, men or women, anybody in the community, anybody that just wants to see some character and connect to it. Why? There's so much else going on in the world. Why would that be something that we have to either explain or stand up against but because it really is there, we do have people that want to support and like you said, kind of go out there and make that known.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, with the spiders, especially like spiders across the Spider-Verse, there's so much there's so many to relate to. I mean, there's Jessica, who is literally pregnant and has a baby. Like, she's a single mom. There's like from every single universe, there's so many to relate to. And so for someone to say, oh, you can't relate to that character, it steals joy, it steals inspiration. And I think you're absolutely right. And your past guest was absolutely right. Bringing something to life is one of the best and the most flattering ways to do so. And I think that that's also why my campaign has taken the form it has.
Okay.
Because I firmly believe that when you're doing this campaign, I mean, it's not just about being in a movie. It's about portraying the character in the way that you know it needs to be portrayed. And so whether or not it's me, I know for a sheer fact that whoever is chosen, I have full faith with Sarah Finn as the casting director that she is going to choose somebody who represents Gwen Stacy at her essence. And to be able to be in the running for that, to be able to be a part of that would be absolutely incredible. It's like cosplay, but in the acting world.
Right. I mean, and I always ask my guests, like, what's it like to put on a cosplay? So I'll ask you that, Katherine, because I know you said you've done some of the business side of it where you the princesses and you went out. You've done some of the superheroes, the furred figures. What'd you call it?
Yeah, kind of like I guess they're fur figure because like they didn't have fur, but yeah, I did that with Enchanted Characters in Orange County. They were incredible. Yeah.
But what's it like? So now you've got this epic character. You've got Spider-Gwen, you've got Miss Marvel, you've got some of the princesses, like you said, the Annas and Elsas. What's it like to become that character and show up, whether it's an event or show up at a con or show up for a photo shoot? What's that like?
It's interesting because on the side of when I did stuff with, and I still do stuff with the Princess Company, but doing stuff with them has been so incredible because with Enchanted Characters, I've been able to take them out to especially like young girls. And with the princesses, I remember just feeling like, oh my gosh, like I'm literally making children's dreams come true. Like you go and you sit down and you sing with them and it's not even power because I think power is the wrong word for it.
Okay.
There's this sense of giving that I feel when I'm in that space where it's you come in and you're giving an experience. And so with the princesses, it's the girls just want so desperately to be with you and learn how to do your hair or things like that. And then the superhero side's really fun in that because you'll even be talking to parents. And I know one parent said to me, oh yeah, our daughter, she runs around the house talking about how strong and how brave she is. And I remember just like holding back tears hearing that because it was like, that is beautiful. Like to hear a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old saying things that are such truths and stuff that, I mean, I wish I felt that strongly about being strong and brave and confident at 4 years old. I mean, that kid's going to grow up to be great because she knows that she's strong. She knows that she's brave and she's going to use her voice. She's going to stand up for what's right. And so going into parties like that is so cool because with those, you do like little training exercises and things like that. And you're able to say things like, it's mostly important to be strong and to be brave, but we don't hurt people to hurt people. You know, like it's all self-defense and, you know, being able to teach really important life lessons through the gauge of a superhero. And so I think in that it's powerful. With Gwen Stacy, it's a totally different thing, because with Gwen Stacy, I put that suit on and I don't feel like I'm anyone else. I feel like I'm more of myself. It's more of digging deeper into who I am. And so putting on the suit, I mean, is kind of difficult because there's so many parts and pieces. But once I do put it on, I just kind of feel this sense of like I could sit in it forever. I mean, there's that feeling of it.
Well, so Katherine, when you first came on and we talked about Gwen Stacy, you said as you flipped through those pages, reading through, that you had a very personal and deep connection with the character and maybe some of the challenges and some of the successes of that character. So I could only fathom what it's like to put that on. So one, I said, I appreciate you being here. I'm the last person as a white male in my 40s that should be speaking on topics like this. That's why I want to come out and just pull in perspectives from everywhere. I'm married to a beautiful woman. I have an 11-year-old daughter that I want to provide her the mindset that she's capable of anything. I don't want to tell her you can do anything, just go do it and you're fine. I don't want to tell her that there's a something that's going to happen and don't worry, it'll all work out. No, you're going to work, you're going to work your ass off and you're going to put your effort in. And I hope that to believe in yourself, that I'm a Paula Abdul fan, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? So I always think about that in my life, because I'm 43 and I've had some success and I've had some challenges. I don't like to use the word failure in a negative sense, but I've had some challenges that I've hit a brick wall, or I fell off a cliff, or, I did fall off the roof one time. So, I mean, I've got some literal challenges that are in there, right? Gravity's not my friend, but in the same sense, I never turned around and gave up. I got back on the ladder and I got back up and I finished what I was doing. That's the same kind of thing I want to empower my daughter to believe that she does, whether it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, whether it's just a full sprint. I'm a side story. I apologize. She's in 4th grade a couple years ago. She was running the track meet at the end of the year. And the reason she only finished by a little bit is because she was running so fast that she was turning around to see where the next girl was. And she almost lost because of it. And I don't want to tell her that's not a good thing to do. And it wasn't like a cocky thing. I don't want to say that but she wanted to be part of the other person running with her, rather than just think, I'm just going to blow them out of the water. And she almost didn't finish where she did. And we were like, hey, hon, I mean, that's great. I'm glad that you were successful, but you might want to still focus on, a certain direction versus, and anyway, it was just a cute moment in time to see that mindset of, wanting to connect with people, but at the same time, not maybe going all the way through. It was just fun.
Yeah. And I think too, this is something that I think for young girls, I think that they can also look up to princesses as much as superheroes. And I think that we overlook a lot of even the older characters. Cinderella is a great example. Cinderella goes through abuse, like family abuse. She's very clearly she's going through a lot. And I know, as someone who has gone through abuse myself, one of the biggest things that you want something pretty. Like that's for me, that was part of it. And for Cinderella, all she wanted was to go to the ball. She didn't want the prince. She didn't want anything like that, but she is painted like that all the time. And
that's a really good point.
I think that once people are familiar with that as well, I think they'll see that, I think as women, we are portrayed as strong a lot of the times, but we just kind of overlook it, because we think, oh, well, she gets the man at the end. And yes, we do have a long ways to come, and we do need more stories empowering young girls. But there's also things that we've overlooked. We've overlooked Cinderella, and we've overlooked different stories. And I think with Gwen Stacy in her normal universe, it's really easy to overlook her story. But once you go into this alternate universe, you see that, whoa, she's been cool all this time, and we didn't know it. Yep. And so, like with your story of your daughter kind of wanting to be a part of things, but at the same time wanting to be her own person. I think that superheroes, personally, though, are some of the best role models. And I think once we start to tell young girls, that superheroes are for boys and for girls. And no matter what gender you are, whatever gender they are, whatever, that doesn't matter, because if you relate to that character or you see yourself or the same mistakes you're making, then that's really the most important thing. So I think that once we also stop stigmatizing girls in comics, you know, after we stop saying things like, oh, girls don't read comic books, like girls shouldn't read comic books, which has been said to me verbatim while reading a comic book. And that's something that, and it's not sometimes in an ignorant, like it's very ignorant. It's not, they're not intending to say, oh, well, it's only for boys in that sense, but they're really saying we've never really seen a girl read a comic, so girls don't read comics.
Yep.
And so there's
I understand
there, but yeah.
So for me, Katherine, the opportunity is, and I really did, I saw this picture and it just kind of popped for me. I'm a platform. They're not coming to see me. I'm trying to connect both creative people, cosplayers, but I'm really trying to connect the community. I'm really big on that. I'm a family person, but I'm really big on connecting the community and seeing you yesterday evening on the interwebs, and then being able to bring your message and bring your experience of both that post and what you had to say. So I really do appreciate not only your time, but being here today, but really trying to connect to a larger audience of cosplay enthusiasts, cosplayers, fans, or anybody. Really, you just said it. Doesn't matter really who we're talking about. Anybody. Yeah. This shouldn't be a topic that we are getting on to people about, or having to have somebody, you know, try to say, well, you can't read comic books, because that's just, it's ignorant. So it really was cool for us to be able to connect today and bring this to light. And on Creative Cosplay Corner, I typically just try to have maybe talk about the costumes, but I'm finding myself getting deeper into the conversations about your origins, and then maybe your passions as to why we're doing this. And so that I've had 3 interviews today, and you're my 3rd interview, and coming through this day has been, I don't want to say an emotional roller coaster, but it has been an emotional journey to hear about why some of our guests are doing what they do. And then to see the would you call it a campaign? Was that the word you used?
Yeah, campaign.
The campaign, you know, you were on this campaign, not only for a personal journey, but now a larger, grander journey to be a part of something bigger than yourself. That's a hell of a thing to do, and a hell of a thing to be a part of. So I want to tell you, thank you, Katherine, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. To everybody, this was a unique episode of Creative Cosplay Corner. Once again, I'm Cable Rose, and this has been Katherine O'Day, again, coming from coast to coast. Katherine, we will see you on the flip side, and to everybody else out there, we'll see you in the next episode.
See you on the flip side.
Yep.